Big names equal big crowds, and big crowds equal big results, right? Well, not always. The truth might shock you. Today on Fundraising is Dead, I'm going to be tackling one of the most common and most dangerous questions I get asked. Should you hire a celebrity speaker for your next banquet? It's coming up next.
If you're still chasing donors, you're doing it wrong. At Dobson Philanthropic, we build systems that keep donors for life. No begging, no gimmicks. Ready to thrive? Visit fundraisingisdead.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Dobson. Welcome to Fundraising is Dead, the podcast where we expose the broken fundraising systems that are failing you and show you what actually works. Today, we're tackling the subject of should you hire a celebrity speaker for your next banquet? I mean, it sounds like a slam dunk, right? Big name, big crowd, big results. Well, sometimes, but not always. So let's talk about celebrity speakers because I've seen some celebrity speakers do amazing, amazing things. I've also seen celebrities absolutely torch an organization, and that's not something you want to fall into. So let's talk about it. I'm going to pull back the curtain and share the good, the bad, and the outright dangerous, and 3 questions every center should ask themselves before hiring a celebrity speaker. So let's dive into it. Let's start with minor celebrity versus major celebrity. Major celebrity, Tim Tebow, Kirk Cameron, people like that. Why do I say Tim Tebow, Kirk Cameron? Because I've done events with Tim Tebow and Kirk Cameron, and they are delightful. I have only good things to say about Tim and Kirk, but I can share some behind the scenes aspects of their speaking and what kind of a crowd you can expect when you hire a Tim Tebow or a Kirk Cameron. Or we can go with the minor celebrity. Let's start with a minor celebrity. I'd be what you'd call a minor celebrity, especially in the pro-life world. I'm known pretty well in the pro-life world, but in general, you're not going to get a stadium bump from a speaker like me. What I am, in a way, I'm kind of like an old-timey revival preacher. If you've heard of revival preachers, sometimes we forget. Revival preachers, my grandpa was one of those, and he traveled from town to town, and he would revive dead churches. There'd be a pastor there, the congregation's dwindling, it's not really doing a whole lot. They want to bring the numbers back in, they want to grab the attention, get the faithful coming back to the church. They bring a revival pastor in, and my grandpa would preach for a week and revive a church, remind people why they supported this church, why they believe in their faith, why this is important in their lives. That's something similar to what I do. You're not going to get a stadium bump in new eyes at your event. What you will get is a newly energized audience. You'll get giving different from your same audience than you have in the past. That's my specialty. My specialty isn't bringing in 50% new eyes. My specialty is getting your audience to give in a way they've never given in the past. That's my specialty. Major celebrities, the Tim Tebows, the Kirk Camerons. Let's talk about major celebrities. So, Tim Tebow, done some events with Tim and done some events with Kirk. Both are fantastic speakers. They are really, really good speakers. Both are good at tailoring their talks to your specific audience. And that's something you should look out for. If you're going to hire a celebrity speaker, go online, look up a bunch of talks they've given, because a lot of celebrities have a canned talk. They've got one talk, it's probably pretty good, but they've only got one. And if it doesn't match your audience, they're going to try to do something called springboarding. We used to use that term in college in forensics when we do speech and debate. Springboarding, someone that pre-planned a speech, and whatever topic you give them, they springboard from that into their speech. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you should look out for that. Tim and Kirk, they're like me. They will tailor their talk to your audience, to your topic, to your event, and they are really good at it. I studied speaking and public speaking in college, so this is what I do. I tailor my stuff specifically to events. So do Tim and Kirk. I've also seen great marketing for a Tim Tebow event and great marketing for a Kirk Cameron event. That is very key because I've also seen poor marketing for Tim Tebow events and poor marketing for Kirk Cameron events. And that's very key. If you're good at marketing, you can hire a celebrity speaker and you can draw in a much larger and a new audience to your banquet. If you're good at marketing, if you can market your target audience, if you know who wants to see the Kirk Camerons and who wants to see the Tim Tebows of the world, and you can target those audiences, there are ways to do that through Google marketing and Facebook ads and Instagram, things like that. If you're good at marketing, you can get a lot of new people at your event. I've also been at events where the marketing wasn't great. And if you're counting on the name alone filling up your banquet, you're going to be sorely mistaken. And here's the other thing. I don't have any idea how much Tim Tebow charges for speaking. I don't have any idea what Kirk Cameron charges for speaking. I'm sure it's way more than me. I love doing this. This is, it's not that they don't love it, but we're definitely in different stratospheres. You can expect to pay a lot more for a Tim Tebow and a Kirk Cameron. So you got to ask yourselves, what will you do? Let's pretend. Let's say you're great at marketing. Let's talk about the bad marketing ones first. Man, I'm thinking of specifically one event. I remember this one. Tim, oh my goodness, it was the first event I did with him. Laura went with me, and he was great. I mean, he shows up like a whirlwind, except he's not. It's just the people around him. He is very gracious. He is very personable. He is so much better looking in person than he is on TV. I mean, hey, Laura looked over and she goes, "Oh my goodness." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "Yeah, he really is that good looking." I'm like, "He is. He is." And the greatest, just the best. I can't tell you the whole entire story, but he just did something so special at that event, and it really impacted. I mean, I already thought he was great, but he just went up so many notches. But that event thought the name Tim Tebow and a little bit of marketing was going to fill up their event, and it didn't. It didn't, and I knew that. I knew that very early on. They had me MC, and they had a band. They had Tim Tebow as a speaker. They had people from the project that was trying to be funded. A great program, poor marketing. I can tell you one behind the scenes thing. This is before Tim got married, when the Tim fever was happening all over the place. And they did a meet and greet ahead of time, which is much more expensive to come to. It's another thing you can do with a big celebrity speaker. Kirk Cameron does something like that sometimes. Or they'll do, a VIP meet and greet. And if you market well, I'm telling you, Kirk Cameron, it's like that. The meet and greet, the VIP, Kirk Cameron, bomb. It's done. It's done. People sign up for Kirk so fast. You have no idea. I know some of you are like, "Kirk, really?" Yes. And he's the greatest too. That's the whole thing. If you ever hire Kirk for an event, when he leaves, you'll be like, "Oh, that totally makes sense. He's the best." Yeah. Anyway, I'm at a Tim event, and Tim Fever's going on, and I'm hanging out at this meet and greet. And there are three distinct groups of people at the meet and greet. There are families with kids with special needs who are there for free because Tim knew they were in the area, or his foundation found out about them. Whatever it was, he made it happen. And there was a bunch of families with kids with special needs that he fawned over. I mean, goodness, he's such a great guy. This is going to be embarrassing. There were a number of diehard sports fanatics in jerseys, with jerseys and other memorabilia that they wanted Tim to sign, and and everybody got a picture, right? Everybody got photos. He's taking photos with families. He's taking photos with kids. He's taking photos with sports fans. And by the way, you got to understand this. This is a Christian event. It is a fundraiser. Yes, there's a band and all this is going on, but we're backstage, and you've got sports jocks bros in jerseys, with jerseys, a number of families with special needs kids, and four girls that were there to get them some Tim Tebow. And I mean, I guess play or shoot your shot, but I was dying to know what those girls were thinking standing in line waiting for the meet and greet photo op with Tim. I was dying to know because they stood out so much. I mean, big hair, short dresses, low cuts, so inappropriate, heels that were like, it was crazy, crazy out of place, crazy out of place. And I'm dying to know, was there just this delusional self-confidence, right? Like, oh, hey, I know what I'm doing. And by the way, there's 4 of them, and they all know why each other is there. Oh my goodness, the daggers being stared across the room. I was dying. Oh my goodness. Being a fly on the wall in that room was the greatest. It was the best. And I'm telling you, I watched every photo he took because I was out in the back and I was talking to a friend of his and we were hanging out. He made sure there was nothing that could ever have been misconstrued as inappropriate in any way with any one of those girls. But I wonder if they regretted being there. I wonder if it was one of those like, well, I already paid for it, I better get the photo op, or if it was just delusional confidence of, I'm going to slip my number and I'm going to be the next Mrs. Tebow. But either way, it didn't happen for any of them. Tim was great. He was fantastic that night. He was supposed to jump on a private plane and jet like the second he was done speaking. He didn't. And I could tell as people were like, hey. And I was like, hey, I'm up on stage as an MC. And Tim just went back and sat in the crowd. And I'm like, I think there's a jet on a runway somewhere that's waiting for you. And I can see his people like, what are we doing? And he just chilled out, hung out. He knew the event wasn't exactly what the organizers were hoping for. And he did his best to do a great thing in a situation that wasn't perfect. Was it bad? No, it just wasn't perfect. It just wasn't great. It wasn't what they were expecting. They were expecting Tebow and for it to mean everything in the world, and they realized our marketing didn't work that well. And he did his best to make a good thing out of a tough situation. Boy, was he great. Kirk Cameron, I'm telling you, you market with Kirk Cameron, you're going to get 1 billion people to show up. People love Kirk Cameron. In the faith world, if you're in the faith world, if you're a pro-life organization, if you're, Pregnancy Resource Center, adoption home, somewhere in that faith community, and you market well, people will show out for Kirk Cameron. And again, the greatest. Just one of the, in fact, here's what I'll say. Hands down, Kirk Cameron is the most altruistic person I've ever known in my life. For as long as I've known him. I'm trying to think, man, Focus on the Family started doing stuff with Kirk in like the 80s. So, I mean, we're decades in. Kirk has stayed true to his morals and to who he is and been the most altruistic person I've ever known. He is, he's the best. Again, if you don't market well, don't expect the name alone to fill your event. Here's the other part too. If you don't market well, I already know the answer to the next question I'm going to ask, the next topic I'm going to cover. I already know. So if you don't market well, I already know your follow-up isn't going to be great. And so you will waste your money. You will spend a lot of money. You will get your hopes way up high, and they will be crushed that night. It will be a disaster for you. If you don't market well, I already know your follow-up isn't going to be good. And if your follow-up isn't good, you will have wasted every single new eye that came to your event. So you've got to market well and you've got to collect information. We're going to hear that all the time on Fundraising is Dead. I'm going to talk about the McKay 66, just a preview of that. I read in the 90s How to Swim with Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive by Harvey McKay. Harvey McKay was an envelope salesman in the 80s. Exciting, right? Yeah, because he became an uber multimillionaire and he came up with a system that I've been using and giving out to clients for years and years and years called the McKay 66. 66 different pieces of information you can collect on your donors and clients to help you get to know them better. How you can serve your clients and serve your donors better. I use the McKay 66. That's the follow-up. So if you market well and you follow up well, my goodness, you can really do some great things. You can do some great things. Let's talk about the dangerous and the disastrous. Okay? I'm going to go dangerous. I'm going to go disastrous. Dangerous. I talked to somebody 2 weeks ago, called to ask about my speaking. We talked about, I'll get to that in a little bit. Talked about me speaking. And she lamented her last year's speaker was a political guy. I'm not going to give you his name. I don't want to throw people under the bus like that. But it was a political guy. And she had been online. She had done research, seen a bunch of his talks, liked a lot of what he said. But he also attacked pastors by name and churches by name if they didn't align with his belief system. And so she called him and said, I'm really interested in having you speak at my banquet. I love what you do. I love what you stand for, but it would make my audience uncomfortable. It would make me uncomfortable if you were to name pastors by name and churches by name from stage. If that's something that you're comfortable with. By the way, that's okay. If you're that guy and you're like, nope, can't compromise, got to say what I want, then write back, no, I'm not comfortable limiting my speech. So she wrote and said, hey, love what you do. Are you comfortable not naming names and not calling out churches? And he wrote back, absolutely. For you, I won't do it. And you know where this is going. He did. And here's the thing. I don't know this guy. I don't know him at all. I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt. If he's used to shock audiences, if he's used to saying provocative things and getting a response from an audience, and then for the first time tries to speak on his own and not use that and isn't getting what he wants, speakers get nervous. They get nervous and then they jump to what they know best. I'm telling you that you're going to hate this analogy. Fighters do this. I've been watching fighting and I've been fighting my entire life. A wrestler that joins MMA early in their career, if they get scared, they go right back to their base. They go right back to wrestling. And so sometimes shock speakers or overly political speakers do that if they're not very, very experienced. And here's an example of that. I was speaking in Pennsylvania Dutch country, and nobody warned me about audiences. And I mean, I gave it my all. And I obsess over things, so I prepare really, really well. And I got there and I was ready and I gave them it. I mean, I gave them my A game. I was singing, I was dancing, I was doing the whole deal. Not actually singing and dancing, but you know what I'm talking about. And they were very polite. Everyone paid complete and total attention. They did not make one noise the entire time. I couldn't get them to laugh. I couldn't get anything out of them. And inside, I was dying. I'm like, what is going on? I'm doing so good up here. I was dying on the inside. On the outside, you got to keep plugging ahead. You do exactly what you came to do. And I did exactly what I came there to do. When I finished, they erupted, stood up, standing ovation. I had people come up to me afterwards. Oh, it was so great. So complimentary. So complimentary. I was drenched in flop sweat. Speakers know what that is. When you get anxious, you start having sweat trickle down right here and right here. You can feel it and you know you're bombing. Comedians, when they're bombing, they get flop sweat right there. You can see it happening. I thought I was bombing. What I found out is they're very, very polite. They think it's rude to interrupt speakers. They think I have prepared as well as I have, and they don't want to miss any piece of that. Someone just should have warned me, that's all. And thankfully, I didn't keep circling the drain. That's another thing some speakers do. So again, do your research, right? Do your research. Pros won't put bad speeches online, but some speakers have trouble landing the plane. Anybody that's done banquets knows exactly what I'm talking about, especially if they're not getting the audience response they're used to. I can tell you how I learned to get over that. Ken Davis. If you look up Ken Davis and his book, The Secrets of Dynamic Communication, it's the best book on speaking if you're an aspiring speaker. Best book on speaking possible. How to hit your target regardless of what the audience is doing. And that's really important. Anyway, I'm sidetracking. That guy got on stage, and I don't know why, but he decided to name names and call out churches and call pastors out specifically by name. And she told me not only did that audience give less than they had ever given before in the past, definitely was a decline on that night. The reverberations are still going to go on. She heard from quite a few people. About a third of her audience has reached out and contacted her to say, that was offensive. I was offended by that. I won't be coming back next year. If a third reached out, so many more just kept it to themselves. So be careful. If you're trying to hire somebody and they're known for being shocking, find speeches where they weren't shocking. See if they can do a good job anyway. And the last thing, the disastrous. Beware the guarantee. Again, I'm not going to name names, but I know specifically a group of people I'm talking about. And this is the disastrous. Beware the guarantee. If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. The guarantee that telling you to beware of, I'm warning you against, is the speaker that says, I can raise more than you've ever raised before in the past. And I guarantee it. I can raise you more money than you've ever raised before, and I guarantee it. Beware the guarantee. Beware the guarantee. I know two speakers specifically that promise this, and I have followed them in the years after they've spoken. They've spoken this year, I've done the following year, or year 2, year 3 afterwards, and I'm telling you, their style of speaking is guilt trips and shame and locking the doors and browbeating and just squeezing it. And by the way, this is squeezing it out of your friends and neighbors. These guys are going to get on an airplane the next day, go home, never think about it again. Their guarantee is I'm going to raise more money, and so they certainly do it. But their tactics of doing it are awful. They are awful. And maybe you'll raise money that night. Maybe enough to cover the next 3 years of deficit because of the reputation you've gotten for being that banquet. Oh my goodness. Oh my gracious. I was at a banquet. They had a browbeat speaker. Oh my goodness. This guy was just laying into the crowd. And they were passing out, the envelopes for people to fill out and give money into. And this guy is just hammering the audience. And they had a board member or a staff member stand at every table and watch people fill out those cards. Oh, I just sat there thinking, oh, you just shot yourselves in the foot. It'll be years before you recover from this. And by the way, it's been well over a decade since I was at that event. Anytime I see someone that was at that event, they're like, because it's like, remember that? Yeah, we all remember that. Oh, okay. Yeah, beware the guarantee. That is, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So, 3 questions every center should ask themselves before hiring a celebrity speaker. 1, are they aligned with your values and your audience? I know that sounds simple, but go and watch them. Go to their Instagram, go to their YouTube, see what they're posting. See the clips they're posting. It may or may not align with your views and your audience. Do they increase attendance or giving? In fact, you can ask, that'll be my bonus tip. Do they increase attendance or giving, and then plan your banquet accordingly, right? If it's they increase their giving, work with someone like me and then talk about how to design a night that culminates with your audience wanting to give you more than they have in the past. Not through guilt or shame in any way, shape, or form. I am excited. I love doing this. This is my favorite thing to do. So it's my excitement and passion that helps energize audiences. But do they increase attendance or giving? And then act accordingly in your lead up and your follow through. And lastly, can your team capitalize on either the new giving, which if it's increased giving, like if I come to your event and your people give more than they've given in the past, your thank yous should be different than they've been in the past. Your follow-up should be different than it's been in the past. If you hire a celebrity speaker and you get a bunch of new eyes, can your team handle that many new eyes? Can they handle the thank yous? Can you design it well enough to where you keep them coming back to your event? Oh, bonus tip. If you're struggling on finding the right speaker for you, find a trusted speakers bureau. You can go online. Ambassador Speakers Bureau books me. They have for the past, it is 25 years this year I've been with Ambassador. 25 years I've been with them. I really appreciate them. Gloria is who represents me. And in fact, that's the other thing too. You can just call and ask their advice on a speaker, right? If you see a speaker on their legend, you'd be like, oh, I'm not sure if they're going to be right or not. They're totally honest. They will work with everybody on that. If you want to call them, 615-370-4700, 615-370-4700. That's Ambassador. That's who books me. If you need that kind of advice, go to a trusted source. There are a lot of good speakers bureaus out there that specialize in your type of event, and you should definitely mine them for the gold mines that they are. Get information from a trusted speakers bureau. Celebrity speakers can be amazing. They can do great things for your banquet, great things for your organization, or it can be an outright disaster. So find out whether or not you want to hire a celebrity speaker. Ask yourself those questions. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you again next time for another edition of Fundraising is Dead.
Struggling to keep your donors? Wondering why they're walking away? At Dobson Philanthropic, we help nonprofits turn donor loss into lasting loyalty with a system that works. Grow, thrive, win. Visit fundraisingisdead.com.